Good morning. I'm Miss Brown, and I'm your instructor through Biology 103. I graduated from the University of Georgia and met my husband there as well. And after graduation, we moved to Dothan. We lived there about 14 years, and while living there, I completed my master's in biology education at Troy. I have 2 sons and 4 grandsons that range in age from 16 to 2. And my sons are both married, and I also have a puppy dog. So I'm a dog person. I've always known I was supposed to be a teacher. I'm one of the lucky ones that always knew since I was in the 3rd grade. I've known I wanted to be a teacher, and that's what I enjoy doing, and I really enjoy my students. But let's go ahead and get started with this material that we have to cover today. This is your textbook. You see a picture of it there. You will need to purchase this book or borrow one from somebody because we've used it for several semesters. This will be the last semester that it's used. As I said, my office is on the Sparks campus, but I do teach some classes on the Dothan campus throughout the year. My office number is D4A, and there's my phone number. If you need to email me, the only way I can guarantee it that I will see it and respond quickly is through Blackboard Course Mail. Do not use wallace.edu email. Those are my office hours that you see posted. We don't come back to campus as instructors until June 15th, but I will be implementing these office hours and using them throughout the semester when I'm teaching at home, as well as when I come to the Sparks campus to begin work. If you have to come to campus, you are required to make a 24-hour appointment, an appointment 24 hours before you have to come. These are the things that we'll be covering. We'll look at the scientific method. We'll do a little chemistry, just a little bit. Then we talk about cells and the way things move in and out of cells, because the cell is the basic unit of all living things, and biology is the study of living things. We'll look at enzymes and the processes of cell respiration and photosynthesis. We'll also look at the cell cycle and DNA, and we'll be studying some genetics and looking at the Punnett squares. Those are so fun to always do. And we'll finish up with a look at evolution and classification. Our labs are designed so that you can use the proper tools of a biologist, of a biological scientist. Now, what do you need? And this is mandatory. There is no wiggle room. You have to have a textbook. You don't purchase a lab manual, but you must print your labs from Blackboard. So you've got to have a computer. This is an online class. It's not like class last semester turned into. That was a in-person class that we had to make online. So there were a lot of allowances. That won't be how it is this time. It is going to be conducted as an online class. So you must have a computer. You're going to have proctored testing, and it will not work on Apple devices or a mobile phone. So you're going to have a computer. You've got to have a printer. You've got to have access to the internet, because you've got to check Blackboard several times throughout the day, every day. You've got to have speakers or earphones and a webcam. If you don't have a computer or a webcam, let me know immediately, because Wallace has purchased some for students to check out, because this is mandatory. If you don't have a webcam on your computer, you need to let me know now. Do not wait until the day of a test or an exam and say, I don't have a webcam, because, you've had a long time to get that webcam and me to get one checked out to you. I have to submit your name, so don't delay. This is mandatory. This is the grade breakdown, and all of this information is included in your course syllabus on your Getting Started page. You're going to have 5 unit exams. They count 10% apiece, so that's 50% of your grade comes from exams. You're going to have 4 lab practicals, giving 1 with Unit 1, 1 with Unit 2, 1 with Unit 3, 1 with Unit 4. They total 20% of your lab grade, and then you have a final exam that's given a few days prior to your final exam, and it includes all labs. It's comprehensive. It's 10%. So your lab content is 30% of your grade. Everything else, all your other assignments, are 20%. And you have to have your Wallace student ID card before you can complete your unit lab exams and your lecture exams. That needs to be taken care of. All exams and lab quizzes are going to be proctored using Proctorio software. So you're not just going to be sitting in a room with an open textbook taking the exams and the test. It's going to be proctored so that we make sure you're not sitting in a room with your open textbook and notes. Your lecture exams, as I said, you have to have internet access and a webcam. You have to have a computer. It will not work on Apple devices or phones. They're going to be proctored using the Proctorio. There are 4 unit lecture exams, 10% apiece, and then your final exam is also 10%, but the final exam is comprehensive. So 50% of it comes from units 1 through 4, and 50% comes from unit 5. Chapter objectives. They're all multiple choice. The content comes from the chapter objectives. They will open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. But once you open it, make sure you hear me now, you have to complete it. You cannot open it and shut it and come back later. Once you open it, you're given 60 minutes and then it automatically submits. So you have to take it if you open it. And the only time it can be opened is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Your lab quizzes, as I said, there are 4 lab practicals, 1 with each unit. The content comes from any lab documents or activities. Depending on how long it is, that's what sets the time, but most of them are around 30 minutes, except for the final lab exam that is 60 minutes. Once opened, again, have to be completed. You cannot open it and then get out of it and come back later. It automatically submits at the end of the allowed time, and I will not open it back up for you. You take them the same day as the unit exam, and they are also open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. that day. The final lab exam is comprehensive, and we take it a few days before the final lecture exam. And the final lab exam gets 60 minutes as the time allowed. Your assignments, you had to buy a textbook. The reason is because you have to read the textbook. That's your responsibility. There will be written assignments or discussion questions on discussion board in Blackboard that you will have to, that will be used as part of your evaluation. There will be an assignment that's due every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Now there's a typo here because there's 9.5 weeks in the semester, not 10, so there's going to be 9 assignments. They will also, in addition to being used for grading, be used for attendance checks. With an online class, we have to check attendance every week. Monday at 8 a.m. If you don't do it until 8:30 Monday, you are absent. You have to also complete all your outline notes, which are just fill in the blank. You fill them in as you watch the lecture videos. And then there are note card notes for you that I will help you to complete that come from your lecture objectives. Can you make up assignments and exams? Well, first thing, all makeup work has to be initiated by you. I will not ask you to make up your work. You have to make it up within 5 days of return to class. Return to class is the next calendar day from the missed assignment. So if you missed an assignment today, your 5 days starts tomorrow morning. You have to have a written documented excuse that you send to me, that you went to the doctor, your child went to the doctor, there was a funeral in the immediate family, you had to go to court or military, or maybe you had some sort of college business. Like, I don't anticipate a lot of this because of our quarantine, but like you went on a field trip with Mr. Riley's class, that would be college business. Or if you were in SGA and had to do something with them, that's college business. And I have to have it written, documented. Your labs can be made up with a written, documented excuse. So that's for labs and exams. Your assignments cannot be made up. Those weekly assignments cannot be made up. Monday at 8 o'clock is when they're due. These are the resources available. You've got your textbook, you've printed your lab documents from Blackboard, you print your calendar from Blackboard. The chapter objectives are included in content for each chapter. You've got chapter notes that you're going to fill in. There are recorded lectures for every topic, every chapter. There are other activities and resources available on Blackboard as well. Now, chain of command, ADA, sexual misconduct, safety, etc., etc. You can go to the website that's posted there and find out all that information. But the bottom one, Wallace ID, you need to take care of that before our first exam, because you cannot take any exam or lab quiz without your Wallace ID. Wallace ID, not driver's license. How can you succeed in this course? Well, you got to be positive about it. You got to have a good perspective. You cannot procrastinate. If you get behind in this class, you're going to get overwhelmed. And that's when you start not doing well. You adhere to the course calendar. The assignments and the testing dates are there. Be sure that you take your exams and quizzes and turn in your weekly assignments during the time that it says you should have them. Make sure that you are following that calendar and embrace all 86,400 seconds in a day. We're all busy, we're all stressed, but you signed up for an online course in Biology 103. You need to be committed to working to get through this course and have a plan. If you don't have a plan for when you're going to study, when you're going to listen to lecture videos, when you're going to complete your notes, all of those things, when you're going to check Blackboard, when you're going to send questions to me, whatever, if you do not have a plan, you will not be successful. You need to put yourself on a schedule. You don't have to come to class at a certain time, but you have to do the work just as if you were sitting in the classroom. Now, that kind of takes us through just a getting started. I also want to look at maybe if I can get it to open our Blackboard. Bear with me, please. Okay, here we are. Now, when you open Blackboard, you're going to see the Getting Started page for about a week. I have a welcome letter there. It goes over a lot of detail about what you need to be successful in this class. You need to read it. I'm not going to open it and read it to you. All you got to do is click on it. Those are my office hours that you saw on that PowerPoint. There's the overview of grading that we went over in the PowerPoint. Here is your syllabus. This is your guide through the class. It is your responsibility to read this syllabus. My division director is listed here as well as my information. If you have an issue with this class and you come to me and I don't resolve it satisfactorily, you go to Miss Fisher. If she doesn't resolve it satisfactorily, you go to Dean Reader. That's the chain of command. Those are your outcomes that we went over in the PowerPoint. I'm not going to read them to you again. Methods of instruction. Lecture outlines that you'll fill in the notes. There'll be interactive online activities, self-quizzes. There'll be discussions that you'll have to use the discussion board, unit exams, comprehensive lab exams, and finals. You are expected to read assignments, and you may have written assignments or written discussion questions that you have to respond to. Grading, our department considers passing a 70 or above. This is the grading scale, and there's the breakdown of the grades again that we went over. This tells you about the time limits. We've been over all that. If there are any changes to the calendar, I will let you know in advance. It's not something I'll change unless there's no way around it. If I have to make any date changes for exams, you get 3 days notice. So checking Blackboard is essential. These are your textbooks, your same supplies that I told you that's non-negotiable. Course policies. We went over some of this already. You have to initiate makeup work, and that's only if you have an excused absence. And those were listed, what a valid written excuse would be that you have to present. Now, number 3, makeup exams may or may not be the same exam or in the same testing format as the original exam. So if you have to make up an exam and you open it up and it's 4 discussion questions, don't get all upset about it because you've been told that could happen. And again, 5 days after return to class, and we've defined what return to class means. You see highlighted in yellow, no makeup examinations for unit exam or the final exam without valid written documentation. All labs are online. I'll be posting some videos that accompany that. And attendance, again, it's going to be an assignment to be completed every Monday morning. And if it's a discussion board, you have to have 5 complete sentences or longer. Don't give me these fragments and don't one sentence that's 2 paragraphs long. I'm not doing that. Now, I respect you. I expect the same from you. I want you to succeed. if you don't do well on the first exam, don't panic. We may need to discuss what you're not doing that you should do. Maybe you're not spending enough time. This class takes a lot of time. If you can't give it a lot of time, watching the videos takes a while. Filling in the notes takes a while. It's not supplemental. It is instruction for you since we don't meet physically in person. You have to adhere to the course calendar. You have to submit your work when it's due. Now also, here's your course calendar. It tells you absolutely everything that's going to be happening. These are the weekly dates. This is the lab you should be working on, what you're working on as far as lecture. It tells you when your lab 1 and 2 quiz is, which goes with Unit 1 and your Unit 1 exam. You see it's about 2 weeks after the start of class, not quite 2 weeks. And then you have your Unit 2 and Unit 3 and Unit 4, and then you see your lab final listed there and your final exams. You have to keep up. Make sure you watch the videos. Make sure you complete all the notes. Make sure you watch videos if there's one that goes with the lab, or you complete the lab assignment. I'm not going to be checking behind you and asking you, did you do it? You have to be responsible. Here's your discussion board responses that I told you would also be available. This is for you to check your Blackboard browser and make sure that it supports recent Blackboard entries. And then if you get in the Blackboard app, it's here. Now, also, after about a week, you'll go to content. There's our units. When you open up Unit 1, you see Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and then you see some bonus quizzes. Those have to be completed by this specific time that's listed. That's how you can get points added to your exam grade. There's also a practice test. You do not get a grade for practice tests. It's open for you to take as many times as you want, but they close at midnight the day of the exam. You also see the exam, and there'll be a lab quiz there also. Now, if I open Chapter 1, there's your lecture objectives that you print that are listed right there. This is where your exam questions come from, is these lecture objectives. Then there's outline notes. These are the notes that you fill out as you watch the video. All the videos will fill in these blanks. If you can't find them in the videos, you do have a textbook you can use. And then there's this thing that's called note card notes. Now the note card notes, I suggest printing on one side of the paper. These are the objectives that we just looked at. I said that's where the questions come from for your exams. Answer these over here on the other side of the paper, and then you can actually cut them apart and fold them, and you got a note card. A lot of us study with note cards. If you don't do these, your chances of passing are reduced, because this is where the questions come from on your exam. And then you'll also notice there are videos, quite a few. They're not very long at all, but you do need to watch all the videos. The PowerPoint that I use as I go through the video is also included there for you to use. So that is what you'll be seeing in Blackboard. I will be posting grades in the Grade Center of Blackboard. I will be uploading averages after we've had our first unit exam and lab exam or lab quiz, then I will start posting averages once a week for you to see. Don't pay attention to averages before that point, okay? Because Blackboard gradebook does not average the grades for me. I use a spreadsheet provided by that my department has designed, and I put all the grades in my gradebook, as I call it, and then I upload those grades into Blackboard for you to see. So that's an introduction to our class. If you have questions, I suggest that you send me an email through Blackboard, and we'll see if we can't adjust or come up with an answer. I do want to mention to you that any communication, I will be responding within 24 hours to all emails. However, after my office hours on Thursday end at 2:30 p.m., I don't get back on the computer until Monday morning at 7. So you may not hear from me during that time period. But you still need to send the emails so that I can respond to them quickly. And during the week, as I said, it'll be within 24 hours, probably not that long. So I'm looking forward to a great semester, and I know the video got kind of long, but you needed all this information. See ya.